Hi, everyone. Welcome to Love at First Laugh. I am so excited about my guest today. This man is so funny and so talented and such a beautiful human. You're going to love him, okay? You've seen him on Wizards of Waverly Place, and This Is Us. Please welcome to Love at First Laugh, the one and only Bill Cott. Well, hello.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. A little bit worn out. I was in the pool with my daughter earlier today, so I almost got a miniature sunstroke here.
Oh no. Did you put sunscreen?
Yeah, I put SPF 70 on because I'm terminally white.
Yeah.
Uh, I think I'll get through it, but I shouldn't have decided to barbecue on top of it. I made pork chop and some hamburgers and hot dogs for us. And
Nice.
standing over that flame after a day like this probably wasn't the wisest idea.
Yeah, dehydration. I hear that.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. It's time to get warm. So we got to hydrate, hydrate, hydrate.
That's what I'm doing. Believe me, this isn't coffee at this hour of the day. It's all water.
You can fake it. You can fake it. Pretend it's coffee.
Yeah, I'm doing the old Today Show gag.
That's right. Yes, absolutely. So, did I pronounce your name correctly? Because I'm sure a lot of
Yeah.
people pronounce it CHOTT, right?
I get CHOTT, shot, shoat. When people would say shot, my dad, when I was a kid, he'd go, "Yeah, that's right. I'm the big shot. He's the little shot."
Oh, how cute. I
Yeah,
love
it's
that.
CHOTT. CH, you were right. You said it exactly right. The CH makes a K sound like with Christmas.
Yes, I like that.
Yes.
Well, Dave, thank you for being here. Dave is our researcher. He researches everything. So he's going to find some
Wonderful.
show that you did like 20 years ago and he's going to ask about it. He's amazing. He has the
Nothing,
best questions. So I
nothing
can't
frightens me more than research. So,
wait. So let's start from the beginning, okay?
yeah.
So I always ask my guests, what propelled you to start doing improv, acting, comedy? What fired you to do it?
I think in the later scope of everything, I think it turns out it's because I'm ADHD.
Yeah.
And it's less lines to memorize if you're doing improvisation. However, I was exposed to it pretty young. Some of my favorite shows as a kid were SCTV, Saturday Night Live. There was a show that used to be on with Martin Mull and Fred Willard called Fernwood Tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And, I found out that was largely improvised. All the guests and the hosts were all improvising. And I figured out I really get a lot of joy from that. And all of my comedy heroes, the people I wanted to be like, had come from Second City. Most of them at that point, either
Mm-hmm.
there or from the Groundlings.
Do you think every actor should do improv at some point?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
also think every improviser should get some acting classes too. Some of
True.
them think, "Oh yeah, okay, I know how to go up there and be in the moment and be funny," but they don't know enough about how to project in a theater or how to access their emotions instead of just
Hmm.
trying to play the game of the scene.
That's true. Yeah. Well, it teaches different skills.
Yeah.
I think everything when we do, like as a stand up comic, if I do acting, improv, even singing, it's everything helps your art.
Yeah, it helps to be well-rounded for sure.
Absolutely. So here, Dave says, excellent selection, Bill. Love those shows. So
Oh, cool.
already.
I love I love Dave's profile pic of Mike Nesmith of the Monkey.
Yes. You
My
love
favorite, I think, when I was a kid, Mickey was my favorite monkey. But as I got older, I think Mike Nesmith was my favorite monkey.
Oh, there you go. You guys have a lot in common.
I'm good.
Maybe he should interview you.
I'll
Yeah.
take it. My
I know.
buddy, Tom O'Keefe is like a huge Monkeys fan, and I think he got a chance over time to meet all of them in person.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah,
That's very cool. Did you hear that, Dave? He's gonna be impressed. So, okay, so you started because of ADHD. You're like, this is my jam. I love it. This is
yes.
fun. And then what was the next step? What did you do to like
So
pursue
yeah,
it?
well, there was, I did, acting in college and in high school, and in some of those, I had little elements of improv that were accessible to me, and by the time I graduated high school or college, rather, some friends of mine had studied in Chicago and brought, the skills of improv and writing sketch comedy back to St. Louis. So I started doing it there with them, and then eventually moved to Chicago and started studying at the Second City Conservatory.
Nice.
Went through the training center with a bunch of wonderful, funny people. My first teacher was Stephen Colbert, and
wow,
yeah, I got to tour around the country with the Second City with people like Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, Rachel Dratch.
And, oh my gosh, that's
so
great!
So many amazing talents.
Yes.
So yeah, I got my fill of improv, and then did improv in New York, and then came out here in Los Angeles and did more stuff at Improv Olympic. I had done a little bit of stuff at Improv Olympic in Chicago, but by the time I moved out here, there wasn't a Second City out here yet, and there isn't anymore. But when I moved out here, there were Second City alumni, and we would do jams, but there wasn't like a full-on organization. But there was Improv Olympic, and so I did a lot of Improv Olympic when I moved out here.
Great. What is your favorite company to do it?
Oh, don't make me say that.
Okay, don't say it. Don't say it. That's okay.
Well, you know what? I'll honestly say this is my own company, the Improv Trick, just because above and beyond just performing improv, I really enjoy teaching improv. And I'm no longer offering public classes, but I do offer classes to organizations and corporations now. Anybody who would like to have a celebrity come and speak to them about using improv for team building or consulting, I'm doing that now from time to time. And I'm also using it for a charity that I'm starting to help form called Camp We Can Too. And I actually dropped a link in your post right before we went live here.
Nice.
If anybody's interested in finding out more about that, or how they can contribute to that, or how they can sign up kids of all different abilities to learn a little bit more about improvisation and dance, and allowing themselves to express themselves. So that's the way I'm kind of exploring that now. So I guess those two organizations are my favorite way to explore improv. Right? I love all of them. And even though I haven't had a chance to really perform with Groundlings out here in Los Angeles, I have so many friends who are Groundlings and graduates of Groundlings too. So, I'm one of those people who really, I do have a tribe of my own, which is Improv Trick, but I love visiting all the other nations and being a part of everything that's out there now.
Absolutely. And everything enriches you in some kind of way. That's how I feel about life. Like everything you do. Yeah.
I do have to say one of the best causes, a couple of great causes going on right now in Los Angeles, but the Ledge Theater in Los Feliz is one of the first Black-owned improv theaters and schools. Sean Landry founded that, and it's a great. So that's if I'm all talking about theaters that I really want to shed some light on, I would say the Ledge is a good place to see improv and learn improv here in Los Angeles.
Nice. There's so much improv in Los Angeles.
Yes.
So much of everything, which is divine. So here we have a question from Dave. Let's see. Bill, please share your memories of your work on the Dana Carvey show, including as the announcer for the ambiguously gay duo animated shorts done by Bob Smigel.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was so fun. That was I accidentally got into the world of voiceover by doing the ambiguously gay duo. It was the first thing that I recorded for the Dana Carvey show. It was the first time that I had been flown into town to start doing a show.
Nice.
They got us plane tickets, picked us up with limousines, and I didn't know where I was going. They took us straight to the Sony studios in New York, and handed me a script out of the trunk that a courier had delivered. And they were like, "You're going to read this, and you're doing the announcer. I want to make sure, can you do a this week's episode?" And they were like, "Yeah, perfect. Good. That's what we want you to do." And went there and laid that down. And I was like, there's no way this is going to make it into primetime television.
Oops.
And it did. Then it only made onto primetime television for about 7 weeks or so.
Oh, that was it?
But of course, the cartoons continued on Saturday Night Live for many,
Yes.
many years to come.
Yes.
I still get minuscule residual checks, but that's where I got my first calling card to doing voiceovers, and then later on, I did all kinds of other different voiceover work, like Curious George, the animated series,
Oh,
and
nice.
a guest spot on Invader Zim at one point, and
That's amazing. I love that. So, how do you prepare for improv? Do you have any rituals? Like, I know, like for stand up, I do my little chakras opening and, grounded in truth. And I want my character to be grounded in truth and all that. So, do you do anything similar to that?
I think one of the things that I enjoy doing is doing warm-ups with my fellow improvisers.
Okay.
I really it disturbs me when I get there and I'm meeting with a bunch of people who are improvisers and they think they're too cool for school and they don't need to do a warm-up. It's not for them. It's for us. It's for everyone else. So we can kind of gain one another's energies and get in the same space. And so I really like to do a warm-up. I try not to eat too much before a show because I don't want my stomach to get too upset or I don't want to get tired.
Mm-hmm.
I empty my pockets. I take everything out of my pockets so that there's no change jingling, no keys jingling, no wallets jingling.
Oh, good, good. I don't know why Howard says we lost the feed, so I'm not sure.
Lost the feed. You know what? My neighbors are congregating right outside my window, and it's distracting to me. So while we lost the feed, I'm going to step away for just a second, if you don't mind.
Okay. So you guys, I don't know. Can you hear me? Oh my gosh, I hope that you guys can hear us. Can somebody, you see the feed? Okay, maybe Howard it might be your connection. He went to do something because it's distracting him. And so he wants to focus. Okay, so you guys see the feed. Okay, so it was probably just one person that lost the feed. So we're good, but you went.
Never trust these people that tell you they lost the feed.
Never, ever. That's true. So here Margot is asking what warm-ups. I guess you already covered that. But what specific warm-ups do you do?
Specific warm-ups?
Yeah.
They could be anything. It's easiest if it's a warm-up that all the improvisers know already or one that nobody else knows and we're all learning together.
Okay.
Because at least that keeps everybody on an even keel. One of the ones I like is, it's as common as hell, but it's called Zip Zap Zop.
I love that one. Yes.
My favorite thing to do is if everybody knows it and people do, oh yeah, okay, zip zap 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 zap, we make fun of it, and then people go like, yeah, let's get up there, let's do some makeup ups and do some zip zap zops, and I'm like, yes, okay, everybody knows zip zap zop, but do you know this? There's one version where one person goes and you don't clap, you just go zip and then zap, and then on the third one you say zop zop. That's the one you clap on, and then you double it, you say zop zop.
Oh.
So now if somebody makes a mistake, in other words, if they say zip and clap, or zap and clap, or just zop and clap, or zop and don't clap, then they start a new circle.
Oh.
We always do that exercise in a circle. So then they have to start the new circle and they have to wait there until somebody else here makes a mistake, because what we're really doing in improv is we're waiting for a mistake to happen.
Yes.
Too many people are afraid to take action in improv because they think, oh, if I do something wrong, everybody will notice it. Yes, we want to do it so big that everybody notices it. And that's what that warm-up is all about, is to, instead of saying that, that somebody makes a mistake and then, oops, everything's over, we say, oh, there's a new opportunity to create something new. And that new circle is created. And then when a mistake happens in that new circle, then somebody gets sent back to the first circle again. So there's always a cycle of creation that's constantly happening. So I like to layer that on top of a game that everybody already knows, to put everybody a little bit out of their comfort zone and then bring them back into a comfort zone and remind them, I can do no wrong here tonight. All I'm going to do is laugh at myself and laugh at other people.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. And the word mistake by itself, like, I feel even stand up, if you screw up a joke, it's like, it's not a mistake. You can benefit from that. You can grab that and run with it and actually get a huge laugh, if you and it.
Yeah. My favorite quote about improv comes from the world of jazz, from Miles Davis. And Miles Davis says, the only thing that determines whether you hit a right note or a wrong note is the note you hit after that note.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I don't think in art there are any mistakes in
There
any
aren't.
art form.
Well, like they say about painting, that almost every painting is a recovery from the first stroke.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
You're teaching me a lot today.
Well, good.
I'm learning.
Good. I,
Um,
I tend to do that everywhere I go.
you do. You're like a natural born teacher or something. I feel that.
So good.
Yeah, you are. So I know that a lot of people go through this. Like, you're like, I want to quit. I'm done. This business is so hard, or I haven't gotten any jobs, or I'm overwhelmed with the many jobs I have. I mean, it's always, have you ever wanted to quit? And if so, how did you keep going? What do you tell yourself?
I've never been able to quit. I backed off a little bit. Like
Okay.
I stopped doing as much improv when I started working more in television and film.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I reached a saturation point with television and film, I bought a house back in St. Louis with my first wife. And that kind of took me out of the industry unintentionally, because I thought I'd be able to fly back in, because at that point I was doing Curious George, the animated series, and I had just laid down a pilot for Netflix for this thing called Diggs Tailwagger, and I was the lead in the pilot. And I was like, well, if that gets picked up, that'll bring me back a little bit more. And I asked anybody to fly me out. I was like, this is the decision I made to buy this house back where you could afford one.
Yes.
And then fly in for opportunities that seemed right for me. And that kind of put the skids on the career for a little while. But so my voiceover career ended right there for a while.
Yeah.
And it was tough to get back in front of cameras for auditions, except for pilot season, which I had already promised my agent and manager I would always be in town for, when there was still such a thing as pilot season.
Yes.
And then I wound up getting the role of Mr. Larry Tate on Wizards of Waverly Place, which took me back to LA consistently after a while.
And then you moved.
Yep. Then I moved back.
Yeah.
Part of that was the marriage didn't stick together. So I was like, well, I might as well go back to LA.
Yes, absolutely. And it's funny because on my next note, I have Wizards of Waverly Place. And Dave asked something about that. He's like, Bill, share a fun story involving Selena Gomez and talk about your role as Mr. Larry Tate. Am I pronouncing it right? I'm Latina. I don't know if I pronounced them right or not.
Well, it's the name is a play on the character Larry Tate from Bewitched.
Hello. Okay.
Yeah, that was the name of the boss on Bewitched. And that was the boss who was kind of always oblivious to the magic that was going on in the world around him. Well, since I was the principal who was oblivious to the magic in the world that was going around him, they kind of like took his first and his last name and slammed it into one name and made it Larry Tate.
I love that. I love that little backstory. That's awesome.
Yeah. There was also an art teacher on the show named Mrs. Major Healy, which is the name of Major Healy on I Dream of Jeannie.
Oh, wow. They recycle everything.
Yes.
I love that. Yes. Yeah. So he's asking if you can share a fun story involving Selena Gomez and talk about your role as Mr. Larry Tate on Wizards of Waverly Place.
Absolutely. Selena was so gifted, and it was so great playing with her because she knew her lines quicker than anybody else.
Wow.
Because she had to memorize the bulk of them. And one thing that I've learned over the years is the more in a habit of memorizing lines you are, the easier it becomes for you. And so since she had the bulk of the lines, usually, even in the first few series where it was still more of an ensemble piece, she would still have the majority of the lines. Mm-hmm. And so I noticed that right away about her. But then I noticed maybe the second episode that I worked on or something like that, maybe the third, she was singing backstage while we were waiting to go on. And I was like, you have a lovely voice. And she said, well, thank you. And I said, you probably recorded, haven't you? And she said, yeah. Ha! And I knew she was going to be a sensation just from hearing her sing then. Wow. And having already seen her perform, I was like, wow, this is going to take off. And with a name like Selena, she was.
Yeah.
I knew it.
You just knew.
Yeah.
I love that. That's great. That's a great story. Thank you.
You bet. My other favorite memory of her was she was dating one of the Jonas Brothers at one point, and she didn't know what to get him for. It was either his birthday or Christmas or something like that. And she was, I don't know what to get him. What do you get a guy who's like visited the president at the White House? And I was like, You ought to go to a place called Color Me Mine, because she had never heard of Color Me Mine, where you can go and you do your own crafts, you know. And I said, because nobody else has given him something that Selena Gomez has made. And she was like, I like that idea. I don't know if she ever did that. I never asked her. I felt odd asking her, did you take my suggestion? But she liked that idea, and I think it was good advice. If you ever find yourself a celebrity and you're wondering what to give another celebrity, give them something you made.
Right? Something
better than any golden goose or any amazing award that they could have won, because it's from you. It's from your heart.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah.
100%. That's the most important thing. Everything else is let's see. This one's good. Who is your favorite person and why?
My favorite person?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a tough question, isn't it?
It really is a tough question. I'm gonna have to say my mom. I don't want to sound like such a mama's boy, but my mom has always been so supportive and in everything that I do. And so understanding. You know, she came from a different generation, and having a son who easily could have gone on to become like an English teacher, or work in a bank, which was one of my first jobs, or become a lawyer or something like that. I wanted to become this actor, and she never for a second hesitated.
Oh,
always supported that.
I love that. That's great. Yeah, that's so important to have your mom or your dad's support. It's just
and I had my dad's support too, but Dad's not around right now, so otherwise it'll be tough to pick mom or dad. But if I have to pick one, you're making me pick one theater and one person. I'm like, first of all, I'll pick my own theater, damn it.
Yeah, I like for you to. I like to ask these very tough questions.
I like questions.
They're not intellectual. They're like hard questions.
Yep, and they're from
and they're hard. I don't know why. Fun fact: on Wizards of Waverly Place, Bill worked with David DeLuise, son of Dom DeLuise.
Yes, and Dom DeLuise was always one of my comedy idols, and and David and I met years before we did Wizards, because I did the movie called The Ringer with Johnny Knoxville, a Fairley Brothers film. And he also auditioned for that film. He didn't get the part. He had a great audition, I remember. But that's when we initially met. And he talked about that on the podcast. People who are fans of Wizards of Waverly Place really would enjoy the podcast that he and Jennifer Stone do. And Jennifer played Harper, Alex is Selena's best friend. It's called Wizards of Waverly Pod. And I think they've done 11 or 12 episodes that they've dropped already. My episode has not dropped yet, but they already aired their episode with Selena and with Peter Murrieta, who was the showrunner for the show. And David is just so great. And David started a school called Actors Giving Back, and I have taught improv for his company. They have several Disney celebrities teaching for them there, and I've done that several times. And I get a charge out of working with the young actors there. And hopefully I'll do that again sometime. But like I said, I've kind of stepped away from doing public classes for the time being. But if I ever do any again, it'll definitely be there. And he's also helping out with the nonprofit that I told you about, Camp We Can Too.
Nice. And you put a link right on the.
Yeah. I put a link on your Facebook page there. And if people want to see it, I could tell them right now what the link is. It is, oh my gosh, hold on a second here. I need to go back to your podcast. I guess I go to your profile, which would take me to
don't worry about it. People,
I know, but I want to get it right for people. So it's weekend2, WEKANTU.org. So campweekend2.org.
I guess Weekend 2 was not available, maybe.
What's that? Well,
or maybe they're doing it on purpose. I don't know.
There is another nonprofit that is spelled very similar to that. We can TOO. And also we wanted to have it like, a lot of those camps have names that sound like they're somewhere from Wisconsin that have like, Native American heritage. So, it's kind of spelled like we can too, we can too. And it's all about, the kids of all kinds of different abilities can express themselves as well, just as well as anybody else. And in some cases,
Mhm.
they're a little more vulnerable and a little more open and a little more in touch with their inner selves.
100%. I think two things kids should learn
Hmm.
is any kind of art form they connect with,
Hmm.
and Krav Maga, which is a deadly Israeli martial arts to defend
Yes.
themselves. Those
Yeah.
two things should be mandatory.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love that they're doing this program. That's great. So guys, go to my page and the link is there. Click on it. Okay. And support um, weekend2.org.
Yep.
All right. Dave has another question. I told you Dave is like my
It was
co-host.
brilliant. I'm also going to check my profile because people might be like watching it on my profile and asking questions.
All
That's
the
a
questions,
possibility.
even if they're on your profile, they show up on my side. But go ahead and
Oh,
check.
they do. Oh, so they show up through the StreamYard. Okay, never mind.
Allegedly, they do. I don't know, but
I'm trusting you on that.
that's what happens all the time. Like it doesn't matter where it comes from; they show up here. So, Bill, who were your favorite comedians growing up?
Growing up, my favorite comedians were Richard Pryor, George Carlin. My favorite like improv and sketch performers were John Candy, um, Gilda Radner.
Yes.
All the original Not Ready for Primetime players in the SCTV cast. But for comedians, I would definitely say Richard Pryor and George Carlin. And you know, just like Borscht Belt sort of humor, like Henny Youngman, the one-liners. For some reason, that was one of the reasons why I picked up the violin when I was in third grade. They were like, "Do you want to learn an instrument?" And I said, "Violin," which is
Nice.
my daughter decided she wanted to play violin at a very young age, and like we haven't stepped into that yet, but she does play piano quite well. But I wanted to play violin because of Henny Youngman and because of Jack Benny.
That is so cool. Do you play the violin?
No,
No.
I started in third grade. I was in school in Missouri, and then we moved to Oak Park, Michigan, and that was on 9 Mile Road, so one mile away from 8 Mile, where Eminem grew up. And in our public school, there were, you know, a lot of kids who were recent immigrants to America. And they had come from cultures where there's even more emphasis placed on music at a young age. So kids from Russia, kids from Japan, and they just, you know, blew me out of the water with their skills. And I was so intimidated that I would just kind of like, I would like hold my bow above the string so it didn't make any noise. And my dad came to a concert and he came up afterwards. He goes, "Hey, Bill, I noticed you weren't really playing. Is this something you want to continue doing?" And I said, "No, it's not."
Oh.
"Music? Do you still want to sing?" I said, "Yeah, I love singing." And he goes, "Okay, then, you know, if you want to do singing, then we'll keep you in choir and we could do stuff like that." So I've always loved music, and so singing has always been my forte. And I think that's also an ADHD thing.
Really?
It's tough for me to stick to reading music and reading the music right off the page. I can hear it and I can get into the sync of it and I can sync up with a whole section. You know, if I've got a section leader who's taught me this piece, I feel very confident in it. Of course, if I'm doing a solo, I can kind of make it my own a little bit and play around with it, not too much. You don't want to completely disregard the work of the composer. But yeah, music as singing as a way of expressing myself musically has always felt a lot more comfortable.
Yes. And do you come from a musical family?
I think both my parents grew up singing. You know, singing was a big part of the church. And my dad was in choir a lot. My mom has a beautiful voice. I'm not sure if she sang in a choir, but she has a you know, a beautiful voice. She doesn't think so that she does, but I've always thought she has a lovely voice. My brothers, you know, sang. My sister sang and played the flute. So you know, everybody in our family expressed themselves musically in one way or another. And then, you know, my grandparents, my my mother's father was was a musician and played the clarinet. And he was a Marine. I don't think he was in the Marine band per se, but he was in a band of guys who were all Marines.
Okay. What's the thing?
The way it was official, they all were Semper Fi and hoorah and all that. But I remember hearing him practice on his clarinet, and then my other grandparents sang as well.
So you have the music gene, basically.
Yeah, somewhere deep inside.
And I saw on your TikToks, because we're friends on TikTok, so I get your TikToks on my feed.
Yes.
You are duetting with your sister, right? You're like,
that's not my real life sister. That's my friend Lisa, who actually is my neighbor.
Looks like you.
We have similar appearances. We have very, very wholesome, blue-eyed.
Yeah, I totally bought it. I was like,
I know why we leaned into that whole thing, because we're like, it almost seems silly for us to look this similar and to pretend that we're like a couple. So why not?
Yeah.
We have this like awkward Donnie and Marie, like we're being pushed into doing slightly romantic songs together or whatever. And like, how do we make that comfortable or uncomfortable, as the case may be?
That's great.
So me and Lisa Fredrickson, who's a wonderful musical improviser, we met years ago at Improv Olympic doing a show called Opening Night, the Improvised Musical.
Mm-hmm.
We do that act, and we opened at the Inkwell Tavern in Burbank, which is a tavern owned by a bunch of improvisers.
Oh, wow.
And a great place. They have all kinds of great events going on there. If you're in Burbank, go to the Inkwell Tavern.
Nice.
Yeah.
We have more questions from the listeners.
Bring them on.
Bring them.
Oh, it's Margot. I was just on Margot's podcast recently.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah. People should follow Margot and listen to her podcast.
Definitely. Well. You guys follow her. What are your favorite Broadway shows?
My favorite Broadway shows, Fiddler on the Roof is one of my favorites. My all-time favorite is Music Man. But like when I was a kid, I always wanted to be Tevye in Fiddler. And I was in a production as a kid where I appeared as both one of the sons and as an old man towards the end of the show. And then I always wanted to be Tevye. And as time goes on, I'm like, that probably should be played by a guy who is like actually Jewish. So I kind of like put that dream to rest a little bit. And I've never been the right type to play Professor Harold Hill, but I would, I have that whole monologue memorized of, Trouble right here in River City. I've got that whole thing memorized. So those are two of my favorite musicals. Would love to be in a production. Probably if I was in Music Man, I'd want to play the mayor, Mayor Shin, or I think that's the role that would probably suit me best at this age and at my type.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. So we have Chris now. Hi, Chris. Good to have you. We have so many regulars here. I love this. What do you enjoy the most of the industry, and what are some of the hardest aspects?
One of the things I enjoy the most is being in front of a live audience. So if you're doing a 3-camera sitcom or a live performance, I love that the most. The most challenging thing is working on film. And I know some people think it's easier because you can just keep on doing it and keep on doing it, and they'll take the right part and edit it, and it all gets fixed in post. But it can be tough to keep on doing the same thing and have it be authentic and keep it real, and that really takes a lot out of you. And that's having another frank discussion about ADHD. I spend half my day masking. Pretending that I'm not feeling some of the things that I'm feeling, pretending I'm not struggling with some of the things that I'm struggling with. For example, earlier when my neighbors, they were just gathering outside the window where they normally gather, there's nothing wrong with what they were doing, but it was tough for me to focus on giving you an honest, attentive interview while that was going on. And so I was masking, and it was driving me nuts and draining my energy.
Because it's like you're trying to listen to me and focus on the question, but then you're hearing them and you're even hearing what they're saying. I have the same problem, and it's so hard to focus.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
because you can hear like different things at the same time. It drives you crazy.
Yeah. So when you're masking and then you have to mask on top of the masking again and again and again and again and again, saying the same things, gosh, it really gets draining for me. I don't mind if you go out there, one or two times you do, your first take, and then you do a pickup, and then you do a couple extra pickups. That's all right. But, when you have to do the same scene, 15 times from three to 4 or 5 different angles.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I feel you. Yes.
Still do it. But I prefer the energy of a live audience.
Oh my God. Isn't it the best?
Yeah.
Oh, I love a live audience.
I want to host game shows.
You would be great.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So right now I've got a couple different concepts that I want to develop. I don't want to talk about them yet.
No, don't.
But until then, if anybody's auditioning for a game show and they need a host, I'm in.
Well, I actually auditioned for one of the major networks for a game show. There's a lot. That was like the second one in 2 months that I auditioned for. So the game shows, they're producing game shows. So
yeah, there'll probably be a lot of that going on if this writer's strike happens.
So. Absolutely. Yes. There's a lot.
That's when some of these, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and shows like that really started taking off.
Reality. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're out there. So talk to your agent or manager, because they're all
doing. That's what I'll be doing. Believe you me.
Absolutely. So here's a personal question. What are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for every little thing, honestly. Earlier today, I was reminded that I'm grateful for this pool we have out back. In this apartment complex I live in, there's a beautiful pool. It's been here, since we moved in, and we moved in when my daughter was about 6 months old. So she was, old enough to, when the water's warm enough, because it's not heated in the winter and the early spring. But as soon as the water was comfortable enough for her to swim in, we would take her out there and get her used to it. And then my friend Jennifer, who's a, certified instructor, gave her lessons, and she really takes to that water. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for little things. I'm thankful that today, because of the good weather, I happened to have a pork chop thawing and ground beef that I got on sale for $2.39 for
nice.
That was going to go bad by the 24th, and I'm like, yeah, I got it in right under the date. So I try to be. I keep a gratitude journal. It's something that I talked about with an improv class recently. I taught a private class for a group of young theater students, and they were kind of blown away by the idea of trying to be grateful for all the little things, not just for the giant blessings, the manna from heaven rolls that drop into your lap, but for the meals that you eat and for the
everything.
People. Yeah.
Every morning, that's one of my rituals. I just out loud say thank you for like my apartment, the food I have, like just everything.
Because I think the more you're grateful, the more you find blessings in the things that may not be seen as a blessing at first glance.
Absolutely. I did a whole podcast with oh my God. Okay, I forgot. But anyway,
in the comments.
Oh, with Lydia Cornell. Sorry, because she's a co-host. And I was like, what was her name? The co-host. I forgot the name of the co-host.
That happens to me so often.
Isn't that an ADHD thing though?
It's an ADHD thing, but it's also, as we get on in years, every year that ticks on after 40, I think we're like, that's enough. 5 minutes to access that person's name.
No, because I was honestly, I was thinking about the co-host, and I'm like, God, I don't even remember her name. I think it's Darlene, actually. I now remember.
Okay.
But I talked about being grateful for even having cancer. I know, because it taught me a lot of things. So I think if we keep,
I'm grateful that I came down with diabetes. I'm grateful that my dad passed away. He was a wonderful man. He treated us awesome. He was the best dad you could have imagined. But if he hadn't passed away when he did, I found out that I had diabetes, type 2.
Wow.
The day my dad passed away. That very day I got lab results back. So not that I'm equating type 2 diabetes with cancer at all. You know, I know
No,
that.
it's hey, everything you. I know people like they get intimidated with cancer. Diabetes is as bad as cancer. It's bad. Everything is bad. Everything that's dis-ease is not good for us.
It is good, as we were saying,
Because
it's something to overcome. It's why we're here, to overcome challenges.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree, and to learn and to grow. And and sometimes we grow by being punched in the face. It's like, grow up.
Oh man, I gotta turn the other cheek. All right, bring on some diabetes right here on this one.
Absolutely, yes. So let's see. Oh, this one's good. Any favorite quotes, and what does that mean to you? What does that quote mean to you?
Oh, favorite quotes. My gosh. I do something called the Live Jive on my Facebook page. I used to do it every morning. I don't get a chance to do it every morning, but a lot of times when I'm struck with inspiration or the right quote hits me, I come and drop it down. There was a quote from Nietzsche, and I don't tend to quote philosophers that often, especially existentialists like Nietzsche, whose work has kind of been twisted a little bit from time to time. But he said, only you can construct the bridge you use to cross this stream that we call life. Mm-hmm. You and you alone.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We create our own reality anyway.
Yeah.
Because it's everything.
We have to do it ourselves. It's all about, but one of my favorite sermon topics, I go to a church here in North Hollywood, and the title of the sermon for that week was "Tag, You're It." You know?
Yeah.
God isn't going to come down and save you. Your minister isn't come down and save you. Your mom and dad isn't going to come down and save you. All those people want to. They want the best for you. Yeah. But ultimately, it's up to you to take that step and to move forward. You know, no matter what your personal beliefs are.
Right.
You know, and that's why people shouldn't put too much faith and too much stock in any one thing or one thought, one religion, one philosopher, one quote. But, you know, so if you're looking for a really good quote, one of my favorites is "Tag, you're it."
I like that.
Yeah.
I like it. Nobody ever gave me a one-word quote. You're the first one.
Well, good.
Do you have any advice to new or aspiring actors?
Yeah, I have some of my best advice is be honest and truthful about things that you don't understand. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yes.
Because when you pretend you know something, you're cutting yourself out of a chance to grow and learn and get new knowledge. Mm-hmm. Always, if you are given the full script, read the full script. And believe in yourself. Audition just for the audition, not because you're trying to get the job. Just that's your chance to act today. Yes. That was this secondhand through Brian. See, we're talking about Bryan Cranston. There we go. I was going like 41, 42. Okay, Bryan Cranston.
There you go. We're gonna blame it on ADHD. How about that?
Okay, we'll do that. I will not allow myself to put it on age. I'll put it on the fact that I skipped my concerta this morning.
Totally. Yeah, we're ageless.
Yes, we're ageless and timeless.
Absolutely.
And eternal.
Yes, and we are actually our consciousness or spirits are eternal.
I absolutely believe that.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once we understand that, then this physical world, is like easier to handle, I think, for me at least. It's like,
Yeah, you're like, so I didn't get it solved today. I'll do it again. So I didn't get it solved this lifetime. You're like, beep, beep. No tag backs.
Exactly. Yes, I love that. That was a great performance. Thank you. So let's see. Here, podcast with Bill on Margot Escott.
Yes, that's Margot.
So guys, definitely listen to that. Thank you, Margot.
Yeah, we did 2. She was able to cut it into 2 whole episodes. Talking so long, so you can always have me back because I'll never shut up.
Oh, listen, you're gonna be back, okay? You are.
Right.
Oh yeah. Oh, you will. You will.
Well, good.
No, you're a great guest. They love you. I don't know if you see the.
You keep this rolling. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I don't know if you can see the comments. Like everybody is loving you and like going with the.
Oh, good. No, I'm missing all the comments. I'll go back and look at them. And
Oh,
believe me, I'll like them and make all kinds of silly comments and emojis. Trust me.
oh, good, good. Yeah, when you go back, you'll see.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, can you recall a time where you quote unquote failed? Because I don't believe in failures. How did you react and what did you learn?
Well, the biggest example of that I mentioned in the documentary called Too Funny to Fail, which is it's all about failure, the Dana Carvey show. My big failure was my audition for Saturday Night Live.
Oh.
I did. Oh, I just realized that now I can see where the comments are coming through.
Yes, if you click on the right.
Oh my God.
Yeah, just scroll up. You'll see there's a million
comments. Thank you. Chris said Bill would make a good guest on my show. Yes, have me on. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. So in Too Funny to Fail, I talk about the fact that in my Saturday Night Live audition, I failed miserably at the audition, or at least I perceived that I had. And even though I didn't get that job, Robert Smigel saw me in that role.
Mm-hmm.
Performing sketch comedy, doing a bunch of different voices, and he almost had it in his mind to hire me for the Dana Carvey show before he even brought me in the room.
Oh wow.
The thing that caught me so much heat from my Saturday Night Live audition, which was doing my impression of Jackie Gleason taking a difficult crap, was what he enjoyed the most about it. He said, "Could you do that for Dana?" And I was like, "I don't know." And he goes, "Yeah, he'll love it. He'll love it." I was like, "Okay." So, and that's what got me the Dana Carvey show. And the Dana Carvey show is where we did Ambiguously Gay Duo, which we talked about earlier. And Ambiguously Gay Duo is what got me on Saturday Night Live.
Yes.
So, if you let yourself fail, the author of Waiting for Godot, whose name is eluding me right now.
Samuel Beckett.
Beckett, thank you.
Yeah.
Beckett says, fail better.
Yes.
Try again, fail better. So yeah, I try to realize that anytime any of the perceived failure that I have is just another chance to learn, another chance to grow.
Absolutely. I don't believe in failure.
Yep.
Yeah, they're all choices we make, and the outcome doesn't really matter. Outcomes really don't matter. I think it's all about learning and growing. So
the process, yes.
It's the process. So yeah. So some things you win, some others you don't win. It's okay.
Yeah.
What else?
What else?
What?
I love that saying.
I know, right? I have younger friends. That's my problem. So I kind of like, yeah.
Oh, same here. Yeah.
I know. I mean, we pick up words that we should not be using.
Oh yeah. Well, for 10 years I had a much younger wife, and so I would pick up all kinds of stuff and then of course when you teach a bunch of young kids improv, then you're dipping 2 generations back on quotes. Right. I should not be saying that I feel drippy, I'm wearing some good outfit, but I wind up using the kids' language.
Oh yeah, you have to. Some of them are catchy.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. We have to upgrade ourselves.
Yeah.
You can't just stay in the past.
As long as we're not sounding like somebody's like, "Come on, kids, it's groovy."
No. Let's see. This one's good. I have a couple more questions before we end the podcast. I'm gonna go there. Do you have any regrets?
Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I regret that I haven't challenged myself more over the years.
Oh,
that's it.
So?
Yeah. I regret that that I haven't tried more various types of projects, that I didn't. I had great representation for about 25 years, manager and agent, and I've kind of changed that this year. And not because they were doing a bad job, but I
Mhm.
needed to push myself in new directions, and it wasn't necessarily what I was feeling from them. I just need somebody to say, like, you never tried this, have you? Hey, do you want to try this? I was being handed the same sorts of opportunities over and over again.
I see.
Uh, and like, I've done all the comedy that I wanted to do. I will do more comedy for sure, but
Yeah.
it's so easy for me to step into a comedic role. I want to step into more dramatic roles, and I've had fun doing it. When I was in on Netflix, on Dahmer, I played the
Oh, you were
Milwaukee.
in Dahmer? Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was in This Is Us. I played the mailman. I made a bunch of people
Mhm.
cry. I want a few more opportunities like that.
Yeah.
Although, like I said, I find those more challenging, but at the same time, I know I'll grow through those challenges.
Absolutely. I agree. I love that. Great answer. And my last question for all my guests is, what do you want to be known for?
Right now, the thing I want to be known for most is raising my daughter. I want to be known that I did a good job as a dad, bringing this kid through the world.
That's beautiful. I like that.
Yeah. And, that I'm here for people, that they can reach out to me if they have a question. That's one of the reasons I went on social media, so that I can connect with people. Not just one of the first reasons I did it was because Dane Cook hosted Saturday Night Live without ever having been on a TV show or movie. I was like, wait a minute. I've been on TV shows and movies, and I never got to host Saturday Night Live.
Ah,
He went on MySpace, so I went on MySpace partially to promote myself more, but also that's why when I went on TikTok and I realized, oh my God, this show that I was on for 5 years, Wizards of Waverly Place, I didn't know they were fans of me. They were fans of the show.
wow, how
I knew
cool to find that out.
I
Yes.
knew Selena Gomez had, fans by the millions, but I didn't know there were people who were fans of me. And I want to get to know them and let them know,
Yes.
who I am, and if
Mhm.
I can inspire them in any way, or help them in any way, reach out.
That's great. I love that. And that's what social media is about. It's really about connecting
Yep.
with other people, whether you're a celebrity or you're not. And a lot of people like have millions of followers and reach millions of people and help millions of people. Just that's a beautiful thing. So when they were about to cancel TikTok, I was not happy.
Well, it could still happen, and
I know. And yeah, that hearing was what that's for another time. Did you hear? Hmm. Yes. So here, let's see. Ciriello Christopher, you're a great dad, I can tell. Oh,
thank you.
so sweet. Margot, the mailman was incredible and really exemplified. There are no small parts.
Thank you, Margot.
Let's see. Okay, so here, like I love how the listeners are connecting with each other, so they're
Yes.
going to listen to each other's podcasts and
That's
all.
what I love. That's what I love about doing lives on TikTok and doing my live jive is like community gets created just by being out there and putting yourself out there.
Yes,
Community is created.
100%. And let me tell you, I have like loyal listeners that are here and they're amazing and
Mhm.
they're just super positive and ask amazing questions, as you could tell.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for joining us. You are loved. We love you. You're amazing. Thank you for your questions and your presence. And thank you so much, Bill, for being on my little podcast. It was so fun to have you here.
Thank you. It was
And
a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
oh, you are welcome. And definitely we'll do another time.
I would love it.
Yes, I would love that. Okay, another one. Great show, Grace and Bill. Thank you, Howard.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, you guys. And I'll see you in probably a month or so. So, bye.